All right. Hello, John. Welcome everyone else other
Hello.
than John as well. Everyone else being you who is listening. Hi. Hi if your name is Tom. Hi if your name is Jane. Hi if your name is something else from the 1940s or even something from the 2010s like Michaela or something.
Michaela Lay. Now that might have been the widest name I have ever heard in my life. Or
uh, this is true. This is very true.
or Aiden. I've met an Aiden who
Yeah.
doesn't have a single A in his name.
Wait, what?
Yeah, his name was Aiden, but it was spelled Eihdan.
There's an A at the end.
Oh shoot, you're at it. You're at it.
So they put the A in the least convenient spot.
Mm-hmm.
What's the least convenient place we can put our A in?
Or shoot, it might have been O-N. Eihdon, because I remember I was very specifically like miffed about the fact that I was Aiden but didn't have a single A. So I
So
think
it
it
was
E I H
Egdon.
Eidon.
I'm gonna name him Egdon.
Egdon.
I
Or
know there's no G
EIH.
in there, but I like to imagine that there's a G in there. It makes it sound sillier.
Mm-hmm.
Not be spelled sillier though. But okay, let's past all of that. That's not what you're thinking. Well, it could be. I don't know. You haven't told me what you're thinking today, John. What you thinking?
Well, now I'm thinking about how stupid Aiden is. Sorry, Aiden, who I met, but you have a stupid name.
I'm sorry. I'm also sorry. The one Aiden who I have as a friend. If you listen to this, we didn't mean you because your name has an actual A in it.
Right. All right. So what I've been thinking about is, so I started a new job recently.
Sure.
I'm working at a plasma donation center. So
Uh-huh.
basically, what we do is we take blood, we separate the plasma out of it, which is really the liquid part of blood.
Yeah.
We pump back in the red blood cells and just take that plasma and use it for making medicine.
Okay.
But I had a friend who was working at this job before I got this job, and I was always joking around that she was a baby vampire, right? Because
Sure.
her entire job revolves around blood. So I was joking around about that. But then that got me thinking, once I actually started this job, I was like, man, this would not be an ideal job for vampires because every step of the process is watched, and at no time at all are you ever alone with the blood.
Uh-huh.
So that made me think, in today's society, what would like vampires or werewolves or zombies, well, maybe not zombies, but so on and so forth, like what would their jobs be, like in a way that would sustain them but also keep them hidden from regular society?
Okay. So my initial reaction is pretty much that all of them would be funeral home directors.
See, but like, what
So
if?
yeah, well, just morgue science, like mortuary science. Because the thing is, that's all dead blood. But you get the dead body, you just drain it, you put some extra blood in jars, so you have like a nice little canning station there, and then you don't have to put as much embalming fluid in because without the blood they look less. I don't know, alive. I don't know what the deal is with mortuary
No,
science.
well, but I don't know, like that'd be like the equivalent of getting like a microwave hamburger, like
Well, it didn't say it would
gross
be.
and wrong.
I
No,
didn't say it would be
and
good.
plus, even better, that's a lame answer. What creativity, Zach? We strive for creativity.
Okay,
What do
okay.
you think?
That's what I said was my initial response.
Okay.
If I personally were to become a vampire, however, I would just I would get. I mean, to be completely honest, I would just get like something similar to my job now. I'd get a a decent night job with benefits, and I would just work because you're immortal. I would work that for like 15, 20 years, and then I would just I would let compound interest work its magic, because eventually, as long as you have properly secured investments and stuff, eventually you're going to be super rich by just the power of compound interest, right? Because you don't need to buy food, you don't need to necessarily pay for shelter in the same way because you just want a clean place with a coffin if you're the old school type of vampire.
Right.
So really your biggest thing is the question of the first like 50 years, because after that you'll be able to
Well, what are you doing for blood?
Live on interest. Well, during that time you just probably set up a you could be a mortuary person. I mean, and just like, hey, I'm going to live off of the vampire equivalent of ramen for my college period, which is 50 years because I'm a vampire or whatever, 40 years.
Right.
So the number one question really you get into, I mean, other than is dead blood still blood? Because it probably wouldn't taste as good, but it's still blood. But the number one question really is, do animals count?
I would say no. Animals would not count unless you were like a werewolf.
Well, because in a lot of vampire lore, the good guy vampires eat animals.
Well, let's say that there are no good guy vampires. And
okay.
It's got to be human.
Well, I'm a good guy vampire, obviously, but if it's got to be human, then that's fine. I would just like to point out that if animals did count, I would just become a rabbit breeder because that's like an unlimited supply.
No, so here, let me tell you what my answer is, and my answer, I think covers all the bases.
Okay.
Basically, what I would do is I would be like not assuming that assuming that I'm like well off for money, that I don't have to worry about just being a long-term investment banker. What I would do is I would get one of those blood donation trucks, right?
Okay.
So, but just put up a bogus like shell company on it.
Sure.
And then just go around getting people to donate blood. Because it's nowhere near as sketchy as all of a sudden, in said city block area, there's all of a sudden no more homeless people, but people are willingly giving you their blood. And so you can just go around day by day picking up like a huge stock of blood and no one will think anything of it. Like realistically, think about like the Red Cross or things like that who do like the blood drives.
So what you're saying is you're going to be a reverse food truck.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna get just like, and it's gotta be like a dumb food related names too. Like oh man, now that you said food truck, I can't think of a snappy one liner for as far as bloody food goes, but still, like just something along those lines of like coming up with a fake, like definitely on the nose pun for what I'm doing, but like people will just think, oh, they're just like laughing at the fact that they people joke around that they're vampires, but haha, joke's on you, I actually am a vampire. Like it would be perfect. Like no one is going to question that.
Okay, that is a pretty good idea. You'd have to have a little bit of money to start it up, but that would, and you would want to obviously actually donate a fair portion of the blood. You just skim your 15% off the top or whatever, and so you'd actually
even if you don't donate the blood, like think about it. Like you just create fake transcripts or whatever for like when city officials asked. But like when was the last time you saw that like a blood donation truck and knew exactly where the blood was going?
Here's the thing. You will always get caught on something like that eventually, and you're immortal, so you don't want to be caught. And there's no reason for you. If I'm immortal,
then I just start over in a new life in a new town.
Yeah, but there's people like looking for that. They're going, hey, there's fake people going around and they're selling the blood. Like the FBI works with like organ selling stuff. They'd put you as like on some sort of list. But and so you don't need all that blood anyway. You would get so much more than you need. Mm-hmm. So all the best criminals are taking 15% off the top, 10 or 20%. They're not taking all the money. You take all the money, you kill the golden goose. So all you would have to, you could actually basically be a charitable person. Like you would be essentially saving tons of people's lives and keeping your own life going. So you could
Right.
become like known as a philanthroper,
A,
philanthrop,
a philanderer.
a
Oh
philanderer.
no.
That's a different job.
I mean, yeah, the vampire goes with the turf, right?
Okay, okay. I always just assumed that I would be me as a vampire. So I don't like to think like what would I be if I like lost my reason and became evil. I'm thinking
Hmm.
like what would I be if I were me? So
Right.
would you like to know what I personally would do?
What would you personally do?
I would move to New York City and basically advertise myself as a vampire. I would I all the weird people
Oh,
I'd be
that's
like,
such a good idea because there's so many weird people who would just be super into the fact that some guy is literally drinking their blood.
yeah, and you
Oh,
just
you're
have repeat
right.
customers. You're just like you can't be because I am actually draining blood. Like you create like a fake draining thing and claim that you're giving some of it to. Well, actually, you don't claim anything, but you kind of hint around the fact that you're don't using some sort of mechanism to drain it, and you're donating it or whatever. But really, you just go around literally being a vampire, and the more you lean into it, the more popular you get, and you just have repeat
Well,
clients, and people
yeah,
love
but
you because they're excited for the fantasy of being,
I'd
you
have
know,
to imagine that the cops would want to do something about that because you're like actually harming other people. Like,
well,
yeah,
you
they're
wouldn't be
willingly doing
harming
it,
them.
but
Like
well,
if
oh
you
no.
would just drain, you just wouldn't drain a lot of blood. You would
Hmm.
just basically drain a little bit of blood, and that's why you claim you are like you kind of claim that you're giving it
Oh,
to
I
causes, and you
guess if
could
you
do that.
follow the same rules as like regular donation places,
Yeah.
I'm sure that you could actually just get yourself like FDA approved.
Well, you can't get a FDA approval is a complete FDA approval is
Well, I mean,
exceptional,
as
but
long
you
as you're
could get
following
like
their standards, you could get like permits or something,
sure,
like,
sure.
and get the city, saying, yeah, like what I'm doing is weird as hell, but
Love it,
I'm
and they could do what they want with their necks.
exactly
I guarantee there's already people doing this. Like I guarantee there's already people who you can go to and they'll suck your blood for a cost.
right.
But I just didn't happen to enjoy it, and I'm the best at role playing a vampire because I am one. And they never see me during the day because I'm a vampire, and like
Right.
get on magazine covers because I'm so committed to the role.
Okay. All right.
And then you
So,
become rich and famous, and you get to live your life as a vampire, and it's hilarious.
right. Okay. So I got another one for you.
Okay,
What about werewolves?
so
See,
the
mine I
question.
thought less about necessarily what I would do to hide it, um, or like to feed because I would just go out into the wilderness and eat a deer or something.
Yeah.
When I had to turn, but I would have to make that distinction of whether or not I could do it on my own. Like if it was a true werewolf of where you turn on the full moon period, or
Uh-huh.
if you could like control it. Because if you can control it, dude, I would just be a furry. Like I kid you not. Like no one would bat an eye if like well some people would like bat eyes, but still like it wouldn't be the weirdest thing if just randomly they walked into like my house or something and I'm full blown werewolf and you're like, "Oh, dude, I didn't know you were one
Furring
of
out.
those." Yeah, I mean, cool fursuit, like it looks super authentic, but bro,
And you
like
get a friend to make you other costumes, so it
exactly.
seems as though you're just a really good cosplayer, but really you're a werewolf.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was my thought on it. I was like, dude, werewolves would go so far in the furry community.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they just could, turn into werewolf and they would be totally loved and accepted.
So the question is, I mean, the question as always is, what are the rules? Like, because a lot of werewolf mythology has werewolves kind of not being able to control themselves in their furry state, in their wolf state.
See, for the rules, at least for as far as werewolves go, I would say that, like, what would you do if you can't control it? What would you do if you can't control it? If you can't control it, what I would say is that you become a park ranger,
Okay,
because
that's not a bad idea.
that would explain why, once a month you're gone. Like, no one knows where you are. You're just, out doing like trails and stuff, like in a big survival park, and then you cover up your kills as animal attacks, or you just cover them up, deep in the forest where no one's ever going to find it except for you as a park ranger, or maybe like the super experienced hunter.
Yeah, I was thinking something similar to that. The only thing is, park ranger, you can't guarantee that you're not going to be walked in on the same way. So I would find
I would do it. I would be a park ranger in somewhere where it's like 600,000 acres of
Okay,
park.
yeah.
Like something like that, where even the park rangers get lost and die because no one knows where they are.
Okay, so yeah, I was thinking something similar to that, but just find a privately owned one and basically pay them some money to go on hunting trips in like a place where no one else gets to hunt. So, because then you can guarantee the land to yourself. So, it's same basic idea.
Same principle of just it explains why you're gone once a month, or once a month for a few days.
Well, and the thing is, you're not really going to necessarily have people asking why you're gone once a month if you just claim you have some sort of old religion. You just claim you are a some sort of druid or something, and you have full moon ceremonies, so that's your equivalent of going to church on Sunday and not being able to work on Sunday. You just say, hey, so yeah, if you just do it, and then if someone asks, you're like, yeah, I have this religion that we have to do our rituals at the full moon or whatever.
Right. All right. Yeah, so we got vampires, werewolves. What else do you got?
You're talking mummies?
Mummies?
The classic ones?
The classic mummies would be hard because you have the same principle as like all the old school mummies, like where you pretend you're a museum exhibit, but then all of a sudden, you just go walking around, and then you turn into like a Marx Brothers thing where all of a sudden, hey, there's a mummy. He was in his tomb, but all of a sudden he's gone. So what's he doing?
Yeah, that would be more of that'd be an Abbott and Costello thing. Abbott and Costello.
Oh, that's right. They did. That's right. But yeah, basically you run into that trope of all of a sudden the mummy's gone.
The thing about being a mummy is it seems as though you don't really need food or water or anything. It seems as a mummy you don't really have any needs other than possibly vengeance, and that would just kind of depend on what happened, like why you need vengeance or anything. You take care of that as charmingly and unharmingly as you can. But I really think that the mummy would be super easy because you would just do whatever you want.
Even if it's vengeance, well, I guess so. Say that you get the vengeance thing out of the way, like immediately, and no one notices you. What do you do then? Like, you're still alive, but you have done what you wanted to do. Do you just
the problem with mummies are you don't in most mummy lore, you don't really retain any thought, much thought. So you're not like a fully sentient being anymore. Mm-hmm. You're just kind of almost kind of like a pile of vengeance and grudges, and you're kind of like a golem almost.
Right.
If you were a mummy, like the mummy movies, like with Tom Cruise or Brendan Fraser, those mummies seem to be like they could.
Well, they had goals, like they're sentient.
Yeah, well, those ones I'm saying are the ones that are sentient seem to have like kind of the vengeance goal. But after that, if they didn't have the vengeance goal, it seems like they could just be normal humans. Like you just
because the mummy. I haven't seen the Tom Cruise one, but the both of the or all of the like Brendan Fraser ones, he was pretty hellbent on world domination.
Well, but he didn't have to be. That was just him being a jerk. that mummy was a dick. That's all there is to
Right.
it. Like that wasn't like an inherent feature in mummyhood because that guy
Hmm.
seemed to have similar goals. I mean, he seemed to be just a jerk before he was mummified too.
Well, no, because even in the third Mummy one, which I mean, it was bad, but
Yeah, I don't even
like
remember what happened in it.
it was instead of being an Egyptian mummy, it was a Chinese mummy.
Oh well, then I've definitely not seen that one.
Yeah, he
But
was.
that's a cool concept. I've never seen in a Chinese mummy movie.
Yeah, it's based off of all the bodies buried like during the creation of the Great
The
Wall of
wall.
China.
Okay. Yeah.
Like all the bodies that are buried in the wall.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, it's just all world domination bent. But I guess at the same time, you can't really make a movie without it.
Yeah. I think
Something
that's
grand scale like that. If it's just vengeance, sure, let them have their vengeance. Like, there's no need for them to develop a movie over it.
I actually like a lot of times when they make movies on smaller personal stuff. Like my theory goes back to like a Marvel theory. Like you shouldn't have world-ending stakes in the movies. Like Spider-Man should be, I guess spoiler alert, just about a dude trying to steal some weapons, or Ant-Man and the Wasp should be like about personal stuff, and then you have the big team ups that are world ending. The Avengers
Right.
movies are end of the world, and the individual movies are like smaller personal stakes. So I actually like the idea of smaller personal stakes.
I mean,
movies.
If you want to talk about small personal stakes, let's just talk about John Wick. Like, where his small stakes is some douchebag kid stole his car and killed his dog, so he's dismantling the entire organization that his father belonged to.
Yeah,
like, the ultimate pettiness.
Well, it's not. Yeah, I mean, but they are also most of them are bad. The ones he killed were bad guys in general, so it's fine.
And it meant a ton to him emotionally. So
yeah, well, yeah.
But regardless, we're getting off track here.
Yeah.
So I had a thought, not necessarily.
As a mummy, it just feels easy. Like you get done your vengeance if you have to, and then you just live however the heck you want. Like there's no real. As long as you're a kind of a sentient type mummy that can change out of the wraps and become human and stuff, you just do whatever you want. There's no real difficulty.
I gotcha. So I had a thought for something that wasn't necessarily a mummy, but also undead. So I was thinking zombies, actually, because I said, no, forget zombies, but I thought of something while we were talking. So say it's zombies are a thing, like necromancers are a thing, or say it's like well past the zombie apocalypse. Humanity figured it out. Now zombies are just kind of around, but they're
they're just considered a nuisance. They're like bears.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, I had a thought of what you could use zombies for. So you Walking Dead them. So in The Walking Dead, one of the main characters, basically, in order for zombies to avoid her, what she did was she cut off the arms and bottom jaws of zombies so they couldn't scratch her or bite her, and walked them around on leashes.
Sure.
And so what you could do is haunted houses. But do the same thing.
Actual zombies?
Yeah, actual zombies in the haunted house. And then, like, say they're like the fast zombies, you just put chains on their feet. So they get to a certain point, but you're never actually within reach, but it's still horrifying that all of a sudden a zombie is charging you, kind of thing. And if it's in a post-apocalyptic world, people understand the fear of zombies charging, so it's like really, really scary.
So, yeah, that would be actually pretty terrifying.
Exactly.
There would be a lot of insurance needed and a lot of waivers being signed.
But I'm just talking about like ways to monetize zombies, I guess.
Well, okay, if you're monetizing zombies, because they're animated with magic, I mean, let's assume we haven't figured out how to use the magic. They seem to be essentially, they don't really eat a ton. So they seem to be kind of perpetual motion machines. So all you do is just strap them in to industrial hamster farms. Like you just put them in wheels, and essentially the entire world is powered. It gets free energy from zombies.
It's brilliant. Oh my gosh! And the thought of having a zombie in a hamster wheel, that's actually kind of amazing.
It's just zombies and hamster wheels, just push it, just creating kind of the equivalent of like a hydroelectric dam where it turns the metal inside the copper or whatever. And it just seems so easy because they never die and they never tire, and there's no human rights for them because they have no sentience whatsoever. They're like less sentient than a rabbit. So yeah, you did that. Just that, like a zombie apocalypse would just give essentially free energy for the world. It'd be kind of great.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. So we did vampires, we did werewolves, we did zombies and mummies. What else
Ghosts.
is there? Ghosts. Ooh, see, ghosts is an interesting one. I hadn't thought about ghosts.
Yeah.
Here, do you have one for ghosts? Like, I'll think about it.
So the thing about ghosts, I say the thing about a lot because the thing about ghosts is it all same as everything else. It all depends on the system you're in. But the question is, do you need to right some sort of wrong or release some sort of grudge to move on? Or are you just kind of hanging out, like waiting for the end of days or waiting to move on? Like if there's vengeance, that obviously changes things. But if you're just kind of a ghost hanging out, honestly, like there's no reason to mess with humans too much. You can just have a good life society with all the other ghosts. You just create an awesome ghost city, and you just have like your day-to-day life going on behind the other ghosts. And you find ghosts with abilities who can kind of record what the humans are doing and play them back. And you have reality TV shows that are actually reality TV shows because you just watch what the silly humans are doing. And you don't really have any needs. So like, I think the thing that makes werewolves and vampires so unique is that they have very specific needs for sustenance. Like you have to turn into a wolf or you have to drink blood. As a ghost, you don't have to do anything. You just do what you want. So I think as a ghost, the big thing is just quit worrying, quit like being angry at the humans, just hang out and have fun and live a good life, live a good afterlife.
Yeah, I think ghosts would. Yeah, I agree. Ghosts just don't need anything. Like they don't like pass, whatever is binding them. But say they, stick around. Yeah, there's not much unless like sticking around causes you. Like if you do supernatural rules where sticking around causes you to turn into a vengeful spirit. Like say your reason for existing basically has passed. So but you stay around anyways. Then you turn into a vengeful spirit because you just slowly go insane.
So I think you'd have to you'd basically have a governing ghost board that would basically it would just check for each ghost and make sure that they had created a new purpose for staying around, that every ghost had a goal. And if you didn't have one, if you like started acting erratic, the other ghosts would report you would be like, hey, I don't know if this guy's following his goal for staying around. So just good organization would solve that.
Right. Okay.
There's so that is an interesting thing though. If like we ever actually write a movie or something, if you create an original monster or even a human, what you need to do is give them a very specific needs and goals that can't be met through easy natural ways. Like if you create a movie monster, it has a chance of sticking around if it has very strict limitations that require it to act in interesting ways. Like I think that might be part of why vampires are so interesting, is because they can't come out at day and they need the blood. So that just creates like an interesting world just with those facts. Like you don't have to kind of trump up jump scares because the vampires have a need to get blood. They can't survive with, like, mummies are scary, but they're only scary if you're the person getting vengeance on, you know. There's a reason there has only been, like, you know, in the last 30 years there's only been, like, you know, 5 or 10 mummy movies instead of the 100 different vampire movies, because they don't have a natural, they don't have needs.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay. Last one.
Okay.
Fairly obvious one. Also in the vein of undead.
Uh-huh.
But this one isn't necessarily for like having needs as well.
Uh-huh.
But it's basically just finding out what you need to survive.
Okay.
Or to stay alive. And so it's Frankenstein. Frankenstein was, you know, brought to life. The monster, yes, excuse me. Frankenstein's monster. I can't believe I said that, because that actually bothers me a little bit.
It's okay. I can't believe I said that, because normally I'm always rolling my eyes at people who are like, it's Frankenstein's monster.
Exactly. So regardless, you were created.
Uh-huh.
You have no purpose. You don't know if you can die. But we're gonna say that, like, suicide's out.
Sure.
You can't just, you know, kill yourself.
Well, as a general rule, I'm not gonna.
Well, I mean, like, for the sake of what are you going to do?
Sure.
And so, like, say your creator's gone, he doesn't need a minion anymore, or whatever. How would you get by? How would you hide the fact that you are an undead abomination? So my first thought would be, he joins the, like, metalhead crowd of, like, the people with the like the real dark goth crowd. So the people with all kinds of piercings and things like that. So it won't look, you know, the stitches. It's not, you know, functional. Like, you just say it's not functional. It's body art, when, you know, in reality it's fully functional. You need those stitches, otherwise your head is not going to stay on, kind of thing. But you just say it's body art, and, you know, those people will buy it.
Yeah, I mean,
and, you know, the big studs coming out of your neck and head, it's body art.
The good thing / bad thing about our current society, I think it's more good than bad, but is that anything like that, you just get a job in movies. You just you would become basically a character actor in the background of movies whenever they needed some sort of weird
character.
Well, I'm just assuming you're going to look a little different than the, you know, 1920s Frankenstein, and that you'll look different enough that you'll be kind of like an interesting looking character, and you just hire yourself out as a background actor, because there are people in, like, New York or LA who all they do is dress like cops and stand around in the background of cop shows, because they have that kind of generic cop look, and so that's their entire living, is just being cops in the backgrounds of things. So
okay, yeah, and I would say, for as far as aesthetic goes, you just look like a human being that's been stitched together. You know, not necessarily the fact that you have giant bolts sticking out of your head or whatever, but you clearly look stitched together.
Yeah, I would make a line of dolls. I would make a line of action figures and dolls and stuff and characters, and basically all of them have the stitch. They'd be called stitched together, because that kind of invokes the community sense.
Oh, dude, no, better. Like building on that. It's basically it's a line of dolls that look like they're stitched together, but it's the new Mr. Potato Head. So they're like,
that is awesome.
Build together whatever kind of person you want. It looks so clearly stitched together, but that's the whole charm of it.
That is actually kind of awesome.
Dude.
So you just create stitched together brand toys and just let people, and then that becomes like a fashion thing. Like, people have fake stitches on there around them.
Well, and like you make a bunch of, like, dolls and things that, like, Sid from Toy Story, like, where he was creating those dolls that were just clearly stuck together.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. Like, and people would buy it
Oh yeah. I mean,
Buy it up.
people are crazy about Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. So
Oh yeah, exactly. Like that would be perfect.
yeah, you could become a tycoon and an icon for just like spreading who you are in the world.
Right? And you just like, even if you don't have good verbal skills, you just hire an Igor type character who does all your talking for you, and you're set. You can be just like that silent enigma in the back who comes up with, brilliant things, who never really shows up in the public, just due to his own like scars or whatever, and that's
Yeah.
the like inspiration behind it, because he's like, you say that you got into like a really bad accident or something as a kid, so you've always been afraid of your showing yourself in public, and so that's been kind of like the persona of why you chose like Frankenstein-y, like
Yeah.
Frankenstein's monster type toys, because you always felt like you identified with Frankenstein's monster, when in reality you are Frankenstein's monster, yo. Oh my gosh, that's so perfect.
And you start doing make-a-wish things, so
Oh
you
yeah.
just show up for like kids who've been burned in fires and stuff, and then you can make toys with different like, burn scars or different things like that too.
Right, and you become a hero of body positivity. Oh my gosh, this is so perfect. Like, not the like not the I'm fat and I'm beautiful kind of body positivity, but the actual people who need body positivity, of the like, people who are
Yeah.
mangled and look awful, but it's not like their fault.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Zarek, this is so perfect. This is the best one so far.
So basically, I think in conclusion, we've discovered that for the most part, it's actually a positive to be those things, as long as you retain your humanity and some simple creativity.
Right? Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Yeah, like as long I guess as you're clever or creative, you can get by so easily.
Do you want to make a line of children's toys called Stitched Together?
I mean, yes. Now I do. That's not something I ever thought I would ever say ever, but now that we've done this podcast, I'm on board. Like, let's see how much it costs to start up children's dolls.
If you listen to this podcast and make the Stitched Together line, then just
Demand
give
royalties.
us 15% or 15% off the top, just like a blood
But
driving
not in blood.
vampire. Yeah,
Like actual money, please.
yeah, not in dolls. We want cash money. And yeah, you can if you actually make this, you give us our 15%. You can do whatever you want with the idea.
I mean, yes. We should get like a lawyer involved now and say this is proof. Or watch them use it as proof against us if we try to be greedy. It's like, nope. In your podcast, you very specifically said only 15%, and so that's all we're giving you.
Remember, we talked about the vampire thing. If you get greedy, everything falls apart. If you just take your 15% off the top, it's all going to work out. Life lesson, kids. But don't embezzle. But if you do, 15%.
Oh my gosh, that was perfect.
All right, guys, thank you for listening to the Freakin' Epic podcast, and we hope that you will listen again next week. We have these maybe once a week or maybe more often. We don't know. And hopefully after this one, we will have something a little special, or possibly before this one. I shouldn't have teased that, since I don't know when the special is going to be released.
What's special?
The one that you hate.
Well, we're talking about we're not talking about the geese.
No,
we're not doing the geese one. You get no context whatsoever past is an ongoing beef between me and Zach about the treatment of geese. That's all you get.
Okay. Well, I did put 1 minute of the goose thing at the end of the last podcast.
Well, yeah, but we argued about that for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, there's like another 19 minutes of content there that will never see the light of day.
All right. Well, so if you want to hear more about the geese, Tell
Too
me,
bad.
and I will personally play it for you, and just pretend that that John never said anything.
Hmm. All right. Well,
All right.
thank you. You're beautiful human beings, and I value you immensely.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.